Hello, ladies and gentlemen. First, before you go any further with this video, please listen to this disclaimer, it's really important. Note that this isn't 100% proven, nor is it anything more than simple conjecture. The logic is so laughably simple that it seems rather obvious, yet it is flawed in terms of nuance due to how simple it is. So don't treat this as like a law or anything. If you have the capabilities to do so, please explore this idea at your own discretion. As Anaxagoras would like to say, the theorem's meaning doesn't matter, but rather the emotion that inevitably comes out of it. In which case, that means the wheelchair video was a mistake. Anyway, what solution do I have to make your account survive Powercreep that nobody has already said? Do you pull only harmonies, the best DPSs in terms of numbers, vertical or horizontal investment being better? Well, this possible solution looks at the bigger picture that doesn't need you to be too much of a genius to understand. First, let's lay out the Powercreep in HSR and understand what it really is. If you want a simple method to determine Powercreep, all you need to do is look at the lower difficulties and cross-check which pair of enemies have the same amount of HP as the MOCs you are comparing. For example, in the MOC 12 a year ago, we have the Aromaton Gatekeeper, and the MOC 12 a year after has Ice Out of Space. In the lower difficulties of a random MOC, these enemies have a proportional 1-to-1 amount of HP, so you can safely cross-check the amount of growth they have 1-to-1, despite being different enemies. All this leads to a 122% HP increase on the next MOC relative to the MOC a year ago. The first step isn't done just yet though. We need to determine the margin of error. This is something I cannot fully determine on my own, and quite frankly it's probably impossible. If we take in weakness matchups into account, that means there's a 40% modifier on top of 122% HP to determine the answer. But obviously some characters like Silverwolf do not care about this, and some reduce res with certain effects a lot. So for a simple heuristic, let's assume only 40%, which is a 171% HP increase. So for the sake of our theoretical Powercreep survival plan, they need to conquer 171% HP inflation a year from now. So let's pick out a team. The best way for this theory to work is to have a team that is very agnostic to enemy mechanics, meaning they don't have too many matchup issues. Let's find a full 4-cost team that is enough to 5-cycle or more an MOC stage from 2.7. Let's say this team is Akron E0S1, Jiaoqiu E0S0, Pela E6, no signature, and Aventurine E0S0. There should be a proven run of this that can 5-cycle. Now that we have the baseline Akron team, what we need to do is plan out the cost investment that would lead to a 171% damage increase from the baseline. The best way is Cypher with her E1S1, replacing Pela, Jiaoqiu with his S1, and Danheng Permansor Teray with his Sig. From the baseline 4,858 DPA, we added 5 costs since PT is free at a 14,260 damage per action value. This is a 190% damage increase accumulated in over a year, and theoretically should be enough investment for Akron to survive a year in the meta from 2.7, doing a 5-cycle or less. Or you can stop investing in Akron in the future and slowly find a team of a 5-cost variety that can do 171% more damage than the baseline Akron team. Castris easily does this with her 5-cost team at 17k DPA and 4-cost at 13.9k DPA. And there you go. That's the entire idea. If you want a unit like Akron to survive the current day, what you needed to do is invest in Jiaoqiu's Sig to get you through 3.x until Cypher's release, then invest into Cypher to survive until PT, then into current day still being able to clear comfortably. Applying this theory to other characters except Akron, if you wanted Aglaya to survive for a year from her release at a similar performance to her baseline team of E0S1 Sunday, E6 RMC, she's free, and Huohuo E0S0 at 7.0 DPA, investing into Aglaya's E1 on release would give you 18.9k DPA, which is just close enough to scratch the required 19.1k DPA for 171% HP inflation. Apply this to Finon. For Finon to survive for a year with a similar performance to his baseline team at E0S0, he's able to invest into his E2 and signature for a 170% damage increase almost exactly. Simple, right? All you need to do for a character to survive power creep is pull for significantly strong IDOs, and if the current growth is consistently 171% or less, you can guarantee their survival. So essentially, if you pull smartly to get a 171% increase from the minimal clear investment, you are guaranteed to survive the next MOC at a similar performance from the minimal clear investment a year ago. Here are the steps on the screen in case you are getting lost with my idea. Again, this is a theory. And now we're reaching the most important part of theories, the question I cannot answer in full at the current moment as a defense to this theory. First, can an agnostic team even exist? Well, we added a 40% multiplier to the 120% HP inflation as a safety net. This isn't going to be universally true for every DPS. The fact of the matter is that there is a wide degree of variance in matchup issues. Herta's baseline full E0S1 team struggles a lot against single target, but even pulling just Herta E0S1 and Tribi E0S0 is enough to decimate AoE after 9 months since release. Finon has matchup issues against bounce nullifying enemies like Knight 3 Anom, and while he's the most agnostic DPS by far due to how much RNG and mechanics he can circumvent, he still isn't perfect and may need more than his E2 to live for a year. Castris has an overpowered amount of verticals, but once healing is completely nullified, it is a struggle. DOT's matchup from Lygus to Reaver is night and day. Break actually doesn't have 171% inflation to fight. Due to toughness bars, Break's fight against power creep is actually much more difficult since they effectively dual scale, and higher toughness bars will hurt them even if HP doesn't increase at all. While players can recognize which units are hurt more from matchup issues, at the end of the day, it's still gambling that your niche isn't the one being hurt more from enemy mechanics. So does this nullify the idea I'm presenting, or does this factor not matter at all since every investment strategy works like this? Well, you'll be the judge of that. Second, is this realistic in terms of income? With Aglaya, it certainly is realistic to get her E1 as a free-to-play since the gap between her and Sunday isn't brutal. But once breaching into characters like Finon, who have his vertical investment in the name of Zeredra so close together, one can struggle getting enough resources from this strategy. Investing into Finon's E2 is possible since you won't be pulling that much for a year now that you have his team to repeat the process. But in all honesty, I cannot determine this accurately due to banner timings and the Eidolon gaps between characters. Anox's Eidolons before E6 practically do not exist, and his supports are great damage increases, but it still takes more for Anoxa to reach 171 damage increase than Aglaya, who literally only wants her E1. And like we mentioned with Acheron, Castris completely destroys her in vertical investment and even low investment. Amphorius in general, besides Anoxa, have such strong Eidolons that this doesn't apply to earlier DPS like Acheron and supports with weak verticals like Jiaoqiu. The power jump in Eidos is very much a big deal now. This can be a topic for another time about how Amphorius really changed the meta, but all I'm trying to say is that I am not confident in this strategy working for free-to-plays with certain banner timings and Eidolon inconsistencies into account. Lastly, does horizontal do better as an addendum to the second question? Is it a fool's errand to do more horizontal when you already have 3 teams for Aenom? I cannot answer that with any confidence. While this idea seems to imply that verticals is at least equal if not better than horizontal investment, the truth is that there's too many variables. Aglaya and Anoxa are 2 sides of the mirror that reflect how flimsy this theory can be. There are characters with really strong vertical, but horizontal feels completely unviable. Then there's DPS that have verticals that feel terrible, but horizontal being incredible. Again, I cannot assume this idea to be 100% correct in all cases. I might discuss it in a future video, but for now, I believe the discussion this might spark is good enough. Anyway, that's it for the entire video. I hope you guys like this shorter video format, I guess. This theory was the idea of Echo, and I wanted to make it into a video format to be more digestible because I feel like it's such an interesting theory to discuss, and I want other people to weigh their 2 cents on this. So please comment down below what you think, and join my membership if you'd like to. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.